He's a geriatric specialist. Ladies and gentlemen, Vickie Runk.
I thought he was going to say I was a geriatric patient, so I'll take that. I'll take that.
Knowledge doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't cost anything to call and ask the question.
Do you ever go into the healthcare world and they just start spouting off ADLs? It's activities of daily living.
That's true. How long did it take you to learn that?
It took a while.
Yeah.
It took a while.
The daytime center is definitely one of the best kept secrets in the forest community by far. That's the first thing anybody ever says.
That is very exciting for me when somebody will correspond back and say, I'd really like to know about this. Then you have to wonder how many more out there would like to hear too. So let's go.
Sure did.
That's exactly right. To go get some ice cream.
Yes. And it's so exciting to be a part of.
Amazing.
It really is. It's one of the biggest things I think we've learned.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for being here. Thanks for going on the journey with us. Whether this is your first time listening or you've been here from day one, we appreciate you. We've got a great topic to discuss on the show today, and we're excited to jump in on it. So without further ado, grab your favorite cup of coffee and pull up a seat and join us right here on Around the Table with Vickie. I'm your co-host, Chris Runk, and to my left, as always, is my mother, your host. She's a geriatric specialist. Ladies and gentlemen, Vickie Runk.
I thought he was going to say I was a geriatric patient, so I'll take that. I'll take that. Sometimes I feel like I am. It's really good to be with everybody today. I always love to be in the studio talking about important topics that affect our community and our seniors all around us, and I think we picked a good one today.
Well, today's show I'm kind of excited about because it's actually listener-based. Mm-hmm. We had a listener write in, and that is the topic of understanding veterans' benefits for senior living in Virginia. A segment called You've Earned It. Mm-hmm. And to help discuss that topic today, he's been on the show multiple times, but we would like to welcome back our administrator of Willow Ridge, ladies and gentlemen, Patrick Hurt.
Thank you. Thank you both. It's a pleasure to be back around the table with you guys.
Yeah, I think when we discussed this, one of the reasons I asked Patrick to join us is because he started in admissions and marketing before he became an administrator, and he still focuses on tours at Willow Ridge and helping families and navigating the finances of what a family has to go through when they first place their loved one. There's so many unanswered questions, and so we did have a listener write in and ask for this to be discussed, and that is very exciting for me when somebody will correspond back and say, I'd really like to know about this. Then you have to wonder how many more out there would like to hear too. So let's go.
All right. Patrick, just right off the get-go, what do you hear most often from veterans as soon as they walk through the doors?
Oh, that's easy. It's what can I do is usually what the veteran will says, what do I need to do? You know, a lot of times the veteran has more questions than the family. The family will say, oh, I didn't know that was an option. I didn't know that was a benefit that mom or dad could potentially get a hold of. And for us that are in the industry every day, it's terms that we use flippantly, you know, VA benefits, aid and attendance, all the things that they're like, wait, back up, go back. I'm like, okay, yes, aid and attendance and all of those things. So I think a lot of the issues that the VA tries to tackle is lack of knowledge. It's they're not educated with what they fought for.
Right. And the other misconception lots of times in my 34 years of experience is they automatically think that because they've been a veteran, that their benefits are going to carry all of the financial burden of coming into a facility, whether it be a nursing home or assisted living, and that they really don't have to worry about it because the VA is going to take care of them. Mm-hmm. And that couldn't be the furthest thing from the truth, which is a little sad because I tell this story a lot, but a few years ago we traveled to the Caribbean and we got on one of those catamarans and we're touring around the island. And there was this beautiful place up on the hill. And so I asked our tour guide, what is that? Thinking that it was a movie star's home or a politician's home and maybe even the president's home. And he simply looked at me and said, that is for our aged.
Wow.
And I stopped a minute, and it left an imprint on me that I've carried for years, that that country, that island cared enough to have a place just for their aged, who they revered as esteemed and someone to honor. And I think about the United States and the fact that we've had veterans that have given their legs, given their, their mental health, and just given their time away from family and fought for this country. And we still are lacking in the ability as a country to absorb everything that they need as they're aging.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And Mom, I remember that as well. And they not only did they just have a beautiful building, but they also picked out a superb piece of land
Yes, right over the beautiful
a little
Caribbean.
peninsula there. And so they got to their seniors got to wake up to that view every single day. So pretty special.
Yeah.
I think that many people assume unless you were injured in combat, you won't receive disability benefits, and there really isn't anything available to you. And that's not true. There's a lot of other great resources that the VA can provide. So that's, not only that, but many wartime veterans apply and qualify. Combat service is not required for certain pension-based benefits. And actually, surviving spouses may also qualify.
Yeah, so when Patrick and I are discussing a new admission, he will come and somebody may be $500-$600 short a month from being able to come stay with us. And a lot of the veterans' families don't know that there are benefits out there for them. And Patrick immediately says, well, are you a veteran? Have you done X, Y, and Z? Let's go into that.
So yeah, if anybody has a finance question, or they're like, gosh, Mom only brings in X amount, and that we really need this amount for her to come and stay at any of the communities, my first question is, well, has anybody in your family served in the military? Are any of them veterans? And a lot of times they'll say, yeah, Dad was, but he passed away 5 years ago, or whatever it might be. A lot of people don't understand that even the surviving spouse could potentially qualify for benefits, which is a huge, huge thing for the veterans and their families to
So
qualify.
what we're telling all of our listeners and viewers today is, no matter where you live in America, that you need to check and make sure that you're not missing some sort of benefit that was entitled to your mom or dad, because it's important. And if you don't ask for it, they're not going to offer it, right,
That's
Patrick?
exactly right. Yes. Yeah. Knowledge doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't cost anything to call and ask the question.
Yeah, and it fills in the blanks nicely for
Yes.
folks. I know right here at the Daytime Center, there are benefits for that, for veterans as well. We've been approved to take those benefits here at the Daytime Center, right here off Perryville Road, in the Runk and Pratt Shopping Center, which is what we call it, that we bought years ago. And our Daytime Center is here. So if you're listening and you need a place to go, or need a place to take wife or husband a little bit during the day, need to go shopping, need some of those short-term services, don't just count off the fact that you can't afford it. Patrick and several others in our company can help you understand how you might be able to.
Absolutely. Yeah, the Daytime Center is definitely one of the best kept secrets in the Forest community by far. That's the first thing anybody ever says is, wow, that's over there near, the corporate office. That's over in Perryville Road. But I didn't know what it was. And we were walking by, going to dinner, and we saw how beautiful it was. That's great. That little Daytime Center gives families the ability to go to a doctor's appointment, go watch your kid's sports game, whatever it might be, where maybe mom's not ready to come and live in one of our communities where they spend the night, right? But this is somewhere where they can come and enjoy activities, and the team does an awesome job of making sure they're tired when they go home at the end of the day. So it truly is a blessing to have that even our veterans, like you mentioned, can certainly take advantage of.
One of the things I've noticed is when one of our staff, our marketing admissions people, are able to get those extra VA benefits for that veteran, it really gives them a sense of pride. And they finally feel like they've earned something.
Yes.
And that they were appreciated. And we're always happy to bring that to light, because we want to make them feel appreciated. And there is a VA center in pretty much anywhere you live in the United States, there's a center that you can go and get care if you're a veteran. So this isn't just about assisted living. That there's special benefits available for doctor's bills, testing, CAT scans, all at the VA medical centers all across the United States. But, I know our person that wrote in asking for this is, probably thinking we're going to give some breaking news, but unfortunately, I still lobby and advocate when I talk about this subject that, we need to do better on a state level, and we definitely need to do better on a federal level. And it's important that we put people that our elected officials understand that our seniors need a voice and that our seniors are in need of additional benefits. And going further, when we start talking about the auxiliary grant and how that can help pay for someone's stay in assisted living or in a nursing home. And that is lacking as well. Still not up to the numbers to where, facility owners are going to want to take some of these government programs. And so how can we come together at a round table and make this an easy discussion that seniors can understand and that families can be informed and equipped as they're searching for placement for mom and dad?
When we start thinking about levels of care, so let's just start at independent living. Are there any benefits that the VA can provide, such as pension income, disability compensation, when an individual is looking for independent living?
Not usually. So when you talk about VA benefits, it's usually, maybe they have already qualified for a pension. Well, that of course would go to pay just like they would at home. But your senior living benefits, your aid and attendance doesn't usually kick in until you need some type of physical assistance. And there are different qualifications that have to go with that. You have to meet this box. You have to check all the boxes before they will grant you, some, or there's a maximum that you could qualify for.
I like to interject right here too. If there is a lull between when someone is admitted and when these benefits kick in, there could be 6 to 8 months, sometimes a year, right, Patrick?
Absolutely.
It takes a long time to get all of this through for approval. We at Runk and Pratt will wait until those monies become available. So if you're $1,000 short a month and we have documentation to prove that you're going to qualify, it's just got to go through all the red tape that the VA puts on our seniors, and there's no expedited process for any of this. So there is the length of time it takes for all these approvals. Everybody's got to stamp every piece of paper, and then finally, months down the road, this becomes something that is pliable for these people to hang on to, tangible. We're going to see this money every month. And so what we do for our veterans is to say, well, if it takes 12 months for you to get approval, when that check comes in, we'll just take the back pay for what all we've been owed all this time. And that's just the only way that we can say thank you to our veterans, and we're proud to be able to do that for them. As far as independent living goes, though, I like to always tell families that independent living is really about maintaining independence, enjoying the community, activities, and free from home maintenance, which is so important with independent living. You're not fixing your toilet or, the leakage in the sink that's been dripping for years and you can't get it to stop, so you can't sleep at night because you're hearing the water dripping. The yard needs to be mulched, all the things that go into our list to just live. Well, and when you become a senior, everything's magnified. I need it fixed tomorrow, and somebody can't come for 4 weeks. And so that's one of the reasons why independent living has become so rapidly on the rise with seniors to take a look at for home options to live in, is the lack of having to take care of all that home maintenance.
Yeah. So if I hear you say that these benefits could take a year to kick in, it's probably better to start sooner rather than later, correct?
Yeah, but sometimes there's qualifiers that they have to be admitted before these benefits can take place.
That's true, but one thing's very important, and it's a small little term that a lot of people miss. And when you call into the VA and there's all this paperwork to be filled out, what you want to tell them is this is your intent to file. You have to use that term. I mean, some districts aren't as picky as others, but the intent to file usually starts the clock. So if it takes you a year to get these benefits, if you do in fact qualify, they will back pay you to that intent to file. So if you fill out the form online or you call in and the paperwork sits on your desk at home for a year, then you decide you want to get involved. Well, that could potentially be a year that mom or dad was in a community that they're not going to get reimbursed for. They're not going to get that pension for, that piece of the pension. So it's very important. That intent to file term is very important.
I love that. It's a little workaround, insider information from somebody who does it quite often. So intent to file is what needs to be said. So we talked about independent living. So let's move on to assisted living, because I think that's where, what I'm hearing everyone say, that's where the most bang for your buck is with the VA benefits. Patrick, I already heard you mention it one time in the show, but can you talk about what is aid and assistance?
So aid and assistance, or aid and attendance, is going to be the qualification or the term that the VA uses for an addition to someone that's already service connected. So somebody that's already getting a pension, somebody that has already qualified. Aid and attendance is a subsidiary, if you will, that covers assisted living costs. So now it doesn't cover all of it. It's only going to cover up to a certain amount, which is, I mean, it could be up to $2,000 or just above, or it just depends. Every single person is different based on where you served, when you served, how long, all the things. They have a big long list of things that you have to qualify for, not including, or also to include the what type of physical assistance you need. So they're very particular on who qualifies for these benefits.
So they look at things like if you need help bathing, if you need help getting dressed, are we going to have to do medication management? Can you walk alone? Are you memory impaired? And just needing the everyday assistance of activities of daily living. And those are all things that the caseworker discusses with the client that's intending to file. So they know what level of assistance that they're going to qualify for.
And Mom, you just dropped an acronym there in the healthcare world. You said ADL.
ADLs, yes.
So if you ever go into the healthcare world and they just start spouting off ADLs, it's activities of daily living.
That's true. How long did it take you to learn that?
It took a while. It took a while. But it's a good one. It's a good one. I was like, what is an ADL? So, you got to qualify for VA pension benefits, which a lot of times require wartime service, at least 90 days active duty, with 1 day during wartime, and age 65 plus, or permanently or totally disabled. And they'll make you input your income and net worth passive. So I believe I also heard that one of the documents to fill out for a senior is almost 18 pages long.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It depends on which benefit you're trying to go for, which one you're trying to get approved for. But yeah, it's a very long process.
I will say that, I know my mother today was freaking out over a 6-page application she had to make for something, and just basically said, I don't know if it's worth it. Well, if you think about that, that's the way the majority of the seniors feel.
That's right.
So talking to the sons and daughters or responsible parties of these people that could qualify for that, I think it's something that you need to offer to be involved in. Again, most of it is probably done online these days. It's not like going and sitting out and that's what a lot of our seniors that are in their 80s are wanting to do. I want my pen and I want my piece of paper. Goodness, your daddy does that and he's not even near that age. So, the online presence of having to do all of this is going to scare people off. So, and it's also something that if you're coming to us, you can sit and help them with too, Patrick.
Absolutely.
Like we will do whatever it takes whenever we get a resident in that needs that kind of help. But I would say that a lot of seniors will see that as a hurdle and a barrier and just say, you know what, I'll just do without, And so we do need to make it very easy for our veterans to be able to do some of this. And those that are listening to me that are in any kind of government office, heed the words of easier is better with our seniors.
Absolutely. So, I'm hearing that there's a lot of steps, a lot of hurdles. It's not always the easiest thing to do, but there are some great benefits. Can we talk a little bit about what the maximum amount of money that can be received from the VA, what you can expect to get if you were to fill out all the documents correctly and possibly wait a year to get them? What does that look like?
It really just depends. Like you said, it depends on, like we said before, where you served, when you served, how long. There's all these big, long lists of stipulations. And talking about that paperwork, too, there's actually in an assisted living, in order for specifically aid and attendance, there is I think it's a 3-page form that we as the community have to fill out as well. And it has to be signed by the doctor. So that's saying like you need help with walking, you need all of those ADLs, the activities of daily living. But
Love it.
let's say if you went through all of that process, you went through the whole thing, a single veteran, meaning somebody that's living alone, that served during a wartime, they could potentially get up to $2,400-ish a month. Okay, now that's the max. Very, very few people get the max. So that's something too, that a surviving spouse, meaning that the veteran has passed away, the surviving spouse could potentially get up to $1,558, something like that. So that could make or break the difference between mom or dad being able to come into a community. That's huge.
Sure.
That's a lot of people's mortgage. Like, I mean, that
It
is a
is.
huge amount
Yes.
of money. But again, that's the maximum. Married veterans, okay, so that could be potentially up to $2,800-ish a month, something like that. And if 2 veterans are married and they both served during wartime, met all those criterias, then that's somewhere around $3,800, something like that a month. So, I mean, you're talking, it's just not
Significant.
it's a
Yeah.
very significant amount of money that really does, in a lot of instances, make the difference between mom or dad being able to come into a community.
It really does. Yeah, and we're really hoping that we're putting some news out there today that will pique some interest of some others that are staying at home and maybe just saying, I don't think I could ever do that. Now we've given a little bit of hope that there are some extra monies out there for you to be able to have your needs met. So anything we can do to get that word out it's super important to us.
And the core areas of impact that the VA benefits apply to most are healthcare cost, financial protection, housing and home ownership, career and education, family security, and long-term care. Another, we kind of touched on it.
I want to interject right here too. I know that I can just hear the questions as we're talking. Once this application has been made and they've been determined as they are fully funded for the benefit, it cannot be taken away until death. And so you're not constantly having to prove yourself, other than
That's right.
they'll come in or send us forms that we've got to mark that person is still in need of the level.
That's
And
correct.
sometimes they're in higher need.
Yeah.
They can, if they're not at that maximum level, sometimes they can get a little bit more. So don't be afraid that you've got to do this, every month, that big 18-page. Once you get through that initial hurdle, then you're considered viable for your money.
I have a question. Does the VA benefits affect burial and memorial services?
I know that the funeral homes have to accept or have a special program for VA. So if a veteran's being buried and you need some sort of an adjustment on your burial plan, I would check with whatever funeral home that you're doing your burial plans and ask them, is there a veteran special, or do you offer a certain percentage off? And there could be some benefits for burial, but that would have to be, a different question that I'm not sure I'm
They
aware
do.
of.
Yeah, they do. There is a benefit, especially for folks. I think, if I'm not mistaken, there's even a financial benefit, kind of like a maximum that they will pay if your veteran if your loved one being a veteran cannot afford to be buried,
Yeah.
then they will a lot of times cover the cost of whatever it might be. But of course, up to a certain amount.
Yeah,
But
and
yes,
I
there
think
is a benefit.
there is every funeral home has a plan for
Yes.
that, and you can't go pick the highest stuff. There's a
Right.
certain qualifier for all that. So definitely, if you need help for any of that, I would definitely not be afraid to ask.
Well, we talked about independent living. We talked about assisted living. You mentioned it earlier in the show, and that is adult daycare for seniors as well. And you mentioned our great adult daycare center right here in Forest,
Yeah.
Virginia, called Daytime. But that is probably where we see a large portion of the VA benefits being used inside of our company. And it's so rewarding to see
It
the
is.
seniors get off the bus.
Because the
'cause we-
majority of them are veterans. And so cool.
And the VA benefits help cover transportation cost
Yes.
as well, correct?
That's correct. Yes.
What is that up to? How much per day?
I don't know because it just depends. It's also based on a range, so that if it's inside a radius. So I'm not sure exactly what that
But
benefit
there
is.
is help with the
Yes.
transportation.
And even for business owners, it was a big deal for us to apply and get approved
It
through the
was.
VA. That was quite a
Well, it was political too, because, and I don't mind to say it on the show, we had gotten denied a brand new state of the art building, and we had veterans calling us before we opened the doors, wanting and saying, I need care. It's too far where I'm going now. You are much closer. So we kind of brought the first big center here to Forest. There was a smaller one, but we brought more of a presence here for a larger amount of veterans to be served. And so it took us going to a state senator and then a federal senator to be able for them to get involved in the VA decision on that. And then once we were able to prove that there was indeed a need, all of our papers got pushed through. But I thought that was really interesting at the time, that here we are in America trying to service veterans, and we had gotten denied from the very beginning. So sometimes it's political. Sometimes you got to push a little harder, knock the doors down to make things happen for people. And I'm really glad we didn't stop.
What are some, I'm thinking other things that we can do to encourage folks to talk to and to get information, and that is meeting with an accredited veteran service officer, speaking with the Virginia Department of Veteran Services, and working with communities familiar with veterans benefits. We're talking about the VA. For anybody young, it doesn't really have anything to do with the state of Virginia.
Yeah.
It's Veterans Affairs,
Yes.
and you would go to va.gov
That's right.
to find out all this great information. And if you check out VickieTalk.com, we are also going to list a whole plethora of resources on our website that you can gain information about this topic. So again, we just want to be seen as a resource and providing information.
We're
So it's
leveling up, folks.
pretty
We're going
cool.
to get you what you need. Let's get out there and get it done.
I got a few rapid fire questions here. I want to try to do something different here about the topic, and you guys can answer if they are true or false. And that is combat veterans only qualify. Is that true or false, Mom?
That is false.
Only veterans qualify for VA benefits.
Well,
True or false?
We just talked about this. The spouses do as well. So you got
That's
to put
right.
put those spouses in there. And if you're both veterans, that's when the real benefits. You mentioned $3,800.
Right.
My goodness, that's almost half of what their cost would be
That's right.
together. So that's
Yeah.
pretty fabulous.
What about the VA only pays for nursing homes?
That is definitely a no. That's a false. Yeah.
Adult daycare is only for people with dementia.
Oh, absolutely not. And I want to take a minute to plug Runk and Pratt. I know we're running low on time, but we have lock secured doors for people in the early stages of dementia. Most adult daycares do not care or give services to anyone with dementia because it's too much of a risk. You have it all locked down, and you have to apply for that. So we're proud to.
You are right. That is
have
a big deal that we offer that I'm not aware anybody else in the area does. And final question, you should ask about benefits before choosing your senior living community.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
The
Start now.
soonest you do it, the better off you won't have to wait as long. Get in there and get it done.
Well, sadly, we're out of time. Hopefully that answered some of the very confusing and broad questions about all the benefits that the VA does provide to our seniors and to our veterans who have served our country so honorably and so proudly. So again, check out VickieTalk.com or va.gov for more information. But Mom, I'll let you end the show with some closing thoughts and closing statements.
Well, make sure you keep writing to us so we know how we can research these shows and get the information in front of you. We're going to be bringing in some more authority figures on each subject, so make sure you give us a little nudge there in the VickieTalk.com, and we'll see if we can. Thank you, Patrick, for coming over. You had a busy morning. You came over and made it happen
Yes,
anyway.
it's a pleasure.
Make sure you go see Patrick at Willow Ridge, too. One of our best. Scriptures remind us that there's no greater joy than to lay down one's life for another. Our veterans have lived lives marked by sacrifice, courage, and service. May we honor them not only with gratitude, but with compassion, respect, and a commitment to care for them in every season of life. Every veteran has a story of sacrifice. The benefits available today aren't charity. They're part of a promise our nation made to those who served. My hope is that today our conversations encourage one or more families to ask questions, seek guidance, and discover help they may not have realized and that is available. Sometimes the greatest act of gratitude is simply making sure a veteran receives what they have already earned. Until next week, I'm Vickie, and we're all right here for you around our table.